You say that the computer chip business has nothing to do with the material that compose it, or the money that we use to make it. Quote, it has everything to do with knowledge, end quote. Explain this to the audience.
Well, I'm introducing the information theory of economics. I don't think economics is chiefly an incentive system that arrives at its goals through mobilizing greed. I believe economics is essentially an information system. And Claude Shannon, who was really in some ways the founder of our information age, defined information as surprisal, as unexpected bits. And as Albert Hirschman of Princeton put it, creativity is the key to all economic growth and progress. And creativity always comes as a surprise to us. If it didn't, we wouldn't need it. And government planning would work.
And we'll talk more about that because obviously we all deal in a stock market where the future is unknown. So we'll come back to that because I think it's a really important principle.
Love that concept you just brought up.
So George, I mean, there's just, I feel like you like picking fights, so I want to get in some of the fights you pick in this book because it's fun. You liken sustainability in the Western world to the principle of common prosperity in China. How are those the same? You kind of touched on it with the government, but can you explain that more?
Analogous.
Well, it just it assumes that we live in a world of limited resources and that somehow we can collectively tap and redistribute these resources. Elon Musk has a good image. He says we imagine the economy as kind of a horn of plenty, and everybody's fighting to command different flows of wealth from this horn of plenty. But it's a magical concept of economics and economic growth.
You point out, George, there's one scarce resource. What is that?
That's human minds. That's the scarce resource is human minds. And what has really been a great discovery for me in the last 4 or 5 years, I've encountered Gail Pooley of he's at Brigham Young actually, and Brigham Young, Hawaii, and his collaborator Marion Tupy from St. Andrews in England wrote a book called Superabundance. And what they have really demonstrated is the bankruptcy of all the economic measuring systems that agglomerate in Washington with these gigantic bureaucracies full of economists poring over consumer price indices, GDP deflators, and all these purchasing power parities, all these kind of measures of economic progress, and utterly missing the revolutionary, massive increases of abundance around the world, which correspond to the growth of human populations. The bigger the population, the more resources there are. In other words, human minds create resources. We do not consume resources.
Right.
And we'll come back to that because we'll talk about the lottery tickets of humanity is how I think about that idea.
Discuss the problem in measuring Nordhaus's 94 essay titled "Do Real Income and Real Wage Measure Capture Reality?" The history the history of lighting suggests not.
Well, this is Nordhaus, the Nobel laureate professor from Yale. Everybody gets your Nobel for your worst idea, you know. And so Nordhaus got his his Nobel for carbon taxes. But before that, he made a genuine Nobel laureate worthy discovery that of time prices. In other words, this is a universal measure that applies to any economy at any moment in history, in any place in the universe. And it measures value by the number of hours and minutes and days that you have to spend to accumulate the money to purchase goods and services. And this allows you to compare different eras. And Nordhaus did a massive study of the history of lighting, illuminating a room. How much did it cost in hours of human labor to illuminate a room? And he discovered that over human history, this technology of lighting had advanced thousands of times faster than economists had estimated. That the history of lighting was absent from economic histories that focused on the dismal science of scarcity or dark satanic mills. And while they wrote about dark satanic mills, a lighting revolution was underway, and people could read on into the night and expand their days. And it was really a complete transformation of human life that was utterly missing from economic data. And today, measures of GDP are really ridiculous. They assume all government spending done by printing money or whatever is worth what it costs.
Or is easy to pay.
while private sector accomplishments are drastically undervalued. They have no estimate of the massive consumer surpluses that people like Nordhaus and Pooley and Tupy dramatize in their book, Superabundance. We really live in an era of superabundance.
Yeah, we totally agree, George. So I feel like we're beating around the bush a little bit here, and I don't know. Maybe it's because some people might be chagrined that we're not burning whale fat anymore to get our lighting versus just turning on a light switch and saving all of the whales out there. Yeah. But that's another subject for another day. Let's hit the nail on the head, though. Okay, we're not talking about Thomas Malthus. Okay. Yeah. So why was Malthus so wrong? And is there any evidence? I mean, you're talking about superabundance and the data for time prices, which is wonderful work. But is there any evidence that he or Paul Ehrlich of population bomb fame have ever been proven right?
No, I mean, that's the point of superabundance is that humans create resources, we don't consume them, is the essence of it. Okay. And this is Carl Sagan used to like to give people a sense of the size of the universe, sure. And how human beings were mere specks in this vastness that surrounds us. And he'd say that there are more stars in our universe than there are grains of sand in all the world's beaches. Well, physicist at Stony Brook called Jennifer Cano, who I like, points out that there are more electrons in a single grain of sand than there are all the stars in the universe. And these electrons create a new quantum universe that is been opened through the nanocosm, which I'm writing about, to create all sorts of new opportunities. Essentially, the Neanderthal in this cave, as Thomas Sowell wrote in 1971 in Knowledge and Decisions, had all the natural resources we have today. The difference between our age and the Stone Age is completely the growth of knowledge. Now they want to create a new Stone Age. You know, they're, Wired had there's a company called Climeworks that was a cover story in Wired magazine, a great breakthrough. They can convert CO2 in the atmosphere into stones for trillions of dollars. That sounds like a deal, right? Isn't that a Smead company?
George, you might pick a fight at some point here. We'll probably have a presidential official or maybe someone that's got some subsidies. So.